Hey, welcome. If you're in quarantine, hope you know that we miss having you in class. If you're in class, we don't really miss you, but it's good that you're here anyway. I just wanted to take a couple minutes to explain Writing Challenge 3, where we're going with it and why. And if you've got questions, you can always reach out. Okay. But the challenge is this: it says to carefully read the following passage by Susan Sontag. And you can see at the bottom, it's from this book. It's actually called On Photography. It's from 1977, which is kind of cool because she's writing about photography at a time before social media or before we carried cameras around in our pockets. And she's thinking about the influence that pictures and the prevalence of images are having on our culture. Okay. And so she's thinking about this 40 some years ago. I just find it kind of fascinating. Anyway, it says then write an essay in which you support, refute, or qualify Sontag's claim that photography limits our understanding of the world. And so this is a really important sentence because as you look at it, it's telling me I'm going to be writing an argument. Okay, I'm going to support, refute, or qualify. And so you might hear other words here sometimes like defend or agree, or am I going to refute, which is to disagree or to challenge. Okay, so I have to pick a stance one way or the other. Qualify is like we did with the ship of Theseus, where we said yes when, or yes if. Okay, and we might qualify our yes or our no. Okay. And then the specific claim they want to know our opinion on is whether photography limits our understanding of the world. And so I've got to decide, do I think that's true? Okay. And if so, I would support her claim. And if not, I would refute it. And then I would work to show how photography actually enhances our understanding or expands it. Okay. But this word limits, I think, becomes the argumentative, it's the arguable part of her claim, right? And then I've got to figure out why does she think that? And that's what these two paragraphs below demonstrate. She gives some examples and she explains her ideas. And so as I write, I can say I agree when Sontag says this in line 5, but I disagree when she says this in line 30. And here's why. And you've got the advantage of 40 years of history and examples on your side that she didn't have. Okay. All right. There's a brainstorming doc, which if you click on should look like this. It just gives you space to kind of line up. All right, here's some points that I agree with. I would put Sontag's points in here. Here's some points I would argue against. And then this last column is really beyond Sontag. It's like, here's what I think we should aspire to. Like, here's how things should be. And then you can start to see which bullets line up with that, because that helps you decide what your argument really is. If I can think of way more points that I agree with than I disagree with, I should probably support her argument. And so, like, sometimes we just pick a stance and then try to find reasons. But I'm just encouraging you to think of your reasons and see where that leads your stance to be. Okay. And then I'm asking you to think of examples. What are some examples that you would use to make your case? And I noted here the more specific, the better. We're always working on specificity. So instead of saying in my essay, for example, people take vacation photos and that proves blah, 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 blah. Instead of, if I give the example of, the picture of my family and I hiking the Narrows at Zion National Park demonstrates blah, blah, blah. This has specificity and it's memorable and it's interesting. If you go back and look at Sontag's argument, she uses some specific photographers' names and their images to talk about it. You could reference the ones we looked at this week, even, or last week, I guess it was, 3 farmers on the way to the dance, or the Trolley New Orleans, if you had a chance to look at it. Or you could reference the photos and images from 2020 of the protests or of coronavirus. Okay? But you can use personal examples. They could be historical examples, and they could be current event examples. All are good, but you want specificity with your examples. And those examples ideally back up your reasons. Okay? This is all old hat, right? Claim, evidence, reasoning. Lastly, I'm asking you to think about structure. We've thought about structure this week with deductive and inductive thinking, and I'm giving you a chance here to maybe sketch out, if I was going to do this deductively, what would it look like? Okay, just a quick bullet outline. If I did it inductively, where would I start? How would I try to get to my final point? If I did Rogerian, how would I show the two sides and how they work together? So I'm asking you to intentionally choose a structure. That's our writing focus. They're always listed here. We've got these 4 goals. The first task about you is about specificity. The second picture from 2020 was about complexity. This task is really about structure, choosing one, and working on your paragraphing. I'm not giving you a lot of words again, 300 words, just we're trying to control our language in a tight space. Um, as always, some of you have yet to uh, stay under that, and that's okay. But that's the task, that's the process. But if you have questions as you set out to start or aren't sure of a direction, I'm happy to answer questions. You can always shoot them to me through email or on Schoology. Okay. Good luck.